Hi, welcome. This is Mar. This time we're going to talk about history of computers. Now, the history of computers goes way back from the time that it started during the earliest calculator machines. The Roman abacus started it all, and it was used during the time in Babylonia as early as 2400 BC or before Christ. Now, this is how it looks like, and basically, it was the first portable calculating device for engineers during that time, including merchants and presumably tax collectors. It greatly reduced the time needed to perform the basic operations of arithmetic using Roman numerals. Next is the 16 during the 1642, where Blaise Pascal invented the mechanical calculator, which is also known as the arithmetic machine or Pascaline. It is a mechanical calculator in the mid 17th century, where Pascal was led to develop this calculator by the laborious arithmetical calculations required by his father's work as the supervisor of taxes in their place. So he designed this machine to add and subtract two numbers directly and to perform multiplication and division through repeated addition or subtraction. So he actually built 20 20 of this machine. So this is how it looks like. Okay. And next one is during the 1801, where punch card technology was now started, and it was made possible by Joseph Marie Jacquard. I don't really know how to pronounce this properly, but Joseph Marie developed a loom in which the pattern being woven was controlled by punch cards. So this is the punch card. So it is also actually known as Hollerith cards or IBM cards nowadays, and are paper cards where holes may be punched by hand or machine to represent computer data and instructions. They were widely used as means of inputting data during the early computers. Okay, so this is how it looks like at a closer level there, and it signifies digital data. Next is the Curta calculator. This calculator, during the, as you can see how it looks like this. During the 1948 is a small mechanical calculator developed by Curta Stark. Its mechanism, it has an extremely compact design and small cylinder that it fits in the palm of the hand. Okay, as you can see here, there are like switches. Okay, next is electricity. Okay, so from the electricity, it paved the way to really improve on the side of computers, which of course was started by Benjamin Franklin and proved that light was electrical in nature in his height experiment during the 1952. Followed by Mr. Edison, who invented the electric light bulb in the 1879. This is Thomas Edison. And another milestone was the invention of batteries, which holds current. First true electric battery was built in 1779 by Alessandro Volta. Now with the first electronic computer, or the first general purpose electronic computer, is none other than, we call it the ENIAC. Okay, it's built by the United States, and solely it was designed to help the army calculate how to shoot artillery And if you're wondering what an artillery is, this is what an artillery is. So, in other words, it was mainly used for military. Let's move forward. Another is that ENIAC was very large. It actually used, this is how ENIAC looks like. It occupies this whole room and it used lots of energy, 150,000 watts. A light bulb uses only about 60 watts. And this room uses 150,000 watts. These computers use vacuum tubes to store information, and that is how vacuum tubes look like. It was the first programmable electronic general purpose digital computer, and it was able to solve large class numerical problems through programming. Although ENIAC was designed and primarily used to calculate artillery firing tables for the U.S. Army Ballistic Research Laboratory, its first program was to study the feasibility of the thermonuclear weapon. How about bugs? Okay, so this term actually came during the time of the vacuum tubes. Okay, with the ENIAC, vacuum tubes glow and moths used to fly into the computers and short circuit them. Okay, so by accident, they short circuit into these vacuum tubes and they form sparks. These were the term computer bugs. Okay, so that is how computer bugs term came to be. Okay, so those are vacuum tubes. And another is the invention of transistor. The transistor was one of the most important breakthroughs in the history of computer. Why? Because it uses no energy until used and much lower than vacuum tubes. Much smaller than vacuum tubes, and also nearly 100% reliable. There are a lot of use for transistors because transistors basically, these are devices that regulates current or voltage flow, and they act as a switch or a gate for electronic signals. So transistors are really flexible devices, and these are small devices compared to vacuum tubes. And one of the most important use of this is it acts as an amplifier. Aside from that, there's a lot more use of transistors. That's why from a bigger computer which occupies a huge room, these computers are now what we have as of the moment. We have laptops, we have desktops, and we have cell phones because of the start of the invention of the transistor. Now, during the early personal computers, okay, we'll start with 1975. Okay, as you can see here, this computer, let me just zoom into that, and you can see the Altair 8800 computer. So this was designed during the 1974-75 by MITS and is based on the Intel 8080 CPU. So interest grew quickly after it was featured on the cover of 1975 issue of Popular Electronics magazine and was sold by mail order through advertisements. The Altair is widely recognized as the spark. It sparked and ignited the microcomputer revolution as for the first commercial successful personal computer. So this was the jumpstart for a microcomputer or small-sized computers. But this is still a big computer compared to what we have right now. Next one is the 1976. Okay, as you can see, it's not really that clear, but this is Apple I computer, which is originally released as was the Apple computer, and known later as the Apple I, and which is a desktop computer released by the Apple Computer Company. Now, what we know as the Apple Incorporated. It was designed and hand-built by Steve Wozniak. The idea of selling the computer came from Wozniak's friend, is more popular now as Steve Jobs. Okay, the Wozniak's friend was Steve Jobs, and Apple Apple I was Apple's first product. And to finance its creation, Jobs sold his only motorized means of transportation, VW Microbus. It's like an old model car. Okay, so he sold it so that they can finance the creation of this Apple I. Okay, next is, as you can see here, it's an IBM. It's not that clear, but it's an IBM Series 1 computer, one of the first computers of IBM. This is IBM Series 1, is a small general-purpose computing system offering both communications and sensor-based capabilities. It also allowed users to attach a large number of variety of input and output devices, including custom-built devices for special application requirements. So this is one of the first computers of IBM. Next one is the 1980. Okay, as you can see here, it's like a video console, and this is the brand or the company that made it, Atari. Okay, so Atari, more popularly known as Atari 2600. It is originally branded as the Atari Video Computer System. It is a home video game console developed and produced by Atari. It is credited with popularizing the use of microprocessor-based hardware and games stored in ROM cartridges. And it was bundled with 2 joystick controllers, a conjoined pair of paddle controllers, and a game cartridge. Initially, the games they have are Combat and later Pac-Man. So this paved the way to the gaming industry in computers. Okay, so thanks to Atari for developing this, and now we have high-end computer gaming consoles like PS. The latest one is what we have, the PS5, we have Xbox, and so on and so forth. So in 1983, this sold at $9,997. During that time, this is really huge amount of money. And this is the Apple, or it's one of the Apple computers. It's you call this model as the Lisa. Okay, Lisa is a desktop computer developed by Apple, released on January 1983. It is one of the first personal computers to present a graphical user interface in a machine aimed at individual business users. Okay, so the first one to have the graphical user interface. And the next one is a Macintosh computer. 1984, Macintosh. I don't have a picture here of the Macintosh. Okay, let me just pull out a browser view to show you that. Where's that? Okay, this is an example of the Macintosh computer, where the monitor together with the other components are in one box. So it started, Macintosh model started this kind of design. In just one box, you have the monitor, and all the other peripherals in a computer system. That's Macintosh. Next, big time for the big three: the Apple computer, the Apple company, the IBM, and the Microsoft, which later there were mergers. So Windows operating system versions. This is the DOS, MS-DOS disk operating system, Microsoft disk operating system. This is the user interface of MS-DOS. And the next one is this is Windows based already, where you have icons. Next one is same, and you have next improvement to that is the IBM's OS2 Warp OS2 or operating system 2, where it's a series of the name stands for operating system 2 because it was introduced as part of the same generation change release as IBM's personal system 2 line of second generation personal computers. Next is, as you can see here, this is Windows 95. I was able to use this also, fortunately. This Windows 95 is very light graphical user interface. The GUI of this is very light, and you can, during our time, we installed Windows 95 using diskettes, series of floppy diskettes. So you insert disk 1, and then it will ask you to insert disk 2, disk 3 until you're done with the installation. Next one is, as you can see here, this is Windows 98 here. It improved the Windows 95 user interface, and then we have the Windows 2000 Professional, and this is Windows, what do you think this one is? This is Windows XP, or the other name for that is Whistler. This was really one of the very attractive during that time improvement in the graphical user interface, because you have colored bars. Okay, you have green and blue, and during that time this was really an exciting upgrade to the graphical user interface. Then we have here Windows Vista. There are a lot of gradients in the user interface menus, and this one is, you have transparencies here. This is Windows 7, and a complete line of Windows upgrades is, I'll show you this one. Okay, so as you can see here, this is from Wikipedia. So early versions, you have Windows 3.x, 9x, and then Windows NT, which covered already what we are using right now, which started from Windows NT 3.1, 3.5, 3.5.51, Windows NT 4.0, Windows NT 2000, and then we have the XP. Next to that is the Vista, and then 7, then 8 and 8.1, and finally we have the Windows 10. Okay, and then you have the multilingual support, platform support. Okay, so that's the sequence of development and upgrade or update of the Windows operating system. So the trend, modern look when it comes to design and performance are these products of Apple, which is the iMac. Okay, so this is the iMac. This one, MacBook. It's a laptop. Okay, iPad, iPhone. We also have the and a lot of other Apple products, which really send the trend of design in these computers to a higher level. As for Windows, we have this personal computers. You have HP, you have Dell, okay, so they have similar architecture. Notable developments we have from the input-output devices, we have the first mouse by Douglas Engelbart in 1964, and it actually looked like this. Okay, and another is from Apple, and then from Microsoft. So for the internet, the beginnings of the internet were founded in a project called ARPANET in 1958. It was developed as a network of radar installations to monitor and protect us from the USSR space and military power. In the 1991, the network went public as the World Wide Web. So from the military part of the ARPANET, they introduced it to the public, and that's what we have now. Our internet, the World Wide Web. Thanks to ARPANET for that milestone, and also at the same time they shared it to the public. So modems were used to connect computers to the internet network using existing phone lines. Common speeds were 14.4 kbps to 56 kbps. Okay, so the speed for that is from up to 56 kbps only. Comparing to what we have now, where we have the fiber optic connections, we could reach up to 100 Mbps. So, how many are your works, Lord? In wisdom you made them all. The earth is full of your creatures. And this is in Psalm 104:24. This is acknowledging God's work. All of these things are not just work of men, but God allowed this and helped men be able to have milestones and accomplishments. Okay, so that ends this lecture on history of computers. Thank you guys for joining. Have a nice day.